a Democrat.
Here we go. It's online already, even though I got it edited out the beginning and end.
This morning it was a new share.
I got it at the beginning and end.
Huh?
But yeah, but, it's very interesting to look at where the Dafir solving. Look at where Rambam the 3 and 1 are holding. It's solving Katsu with me and men. So that 3 pair just finished.
Yes.
And they'll be seminar the Sula. And it's also dealing with the you violated a woman. What the different kanathas are, which is 1 pair.
Interesting.
Good. Not coincidence, nothing's coincidence, but
This morning we had to share about refrigerators, opening refrigerators, the thermostats on Shabbos. So on told the Pratam, grandma on
It's
Shabbos.
interesting. I'm looking to buy a refrigerator, and used to go to the bus and go to other stores and to the bus quote then. But you go online. It says Shabbos mode. This one is approved by StarPay. This one is approved by StarPay and CRC.
oh, Shabbos.
Next one's one.
Some are only approved by Sarkey and not CRC.
Someone at CRC.
The government's also like that. Shabbos, one night.
They have shame on fridges.
Yeah, this one's in Shabbos one. The light is
Hot water.
the light is turned off to go up in Shabbos automatically.
Hot water.
The light.
Light is trying to go up in Shabbos automatically.
Interesting.
Or you press 2 buttons at the same time and makes the light go up in Shabbos.
Interesting, but not for the motor. It doesn't affect the motor.
Not sure.
We help the child.
And they have an add-on for $199, non-technology. The refrigerator knows the whole year when Shabbos is in Yom. So when to go.
Every year you got that.
So interesting. You go to GE website, geclients.com. They have to look online. They have to go to the store and order it because now there's no place to really order it. Used to be German's appliances and it's more. They still do it anymore. More of a commercial thing.
Interesting.
A lot of people want to wish I was not. A lot of
Fair enough.
people that normally would be here. I was away myself. I was in late, but I just came back for bus 7.
So I hope you enjoyed this. Some new animal payments over here. We didn't have last time.
What?
Yeah, he says he remembers the shiva last time he gave it. I told him there's some new animal payments.
Sorry, one of the chapters knows this. Whole day down the radio, written by Charles Schulze, a man you could trust. There wasn't that tradition. Rearrangements. To get family time and leave all day.
I'm trying to go on the speakers.
No, on WIS, Cars for Kids and this Riverside Memorial Chapters. Do a tradition. A lot of stories in the Medea that people want to claim it.
And this organization say helps them.
Rabbi Zone in Queens.
Doesn't get a regular. Guru.
Just convince people to get a regular burial. I heard the first time I didn't hear it. The first time I heard this bit from somebody that heard it firsthand. When Moshe passed away, they wanted to bury him on Parasaisim. And people there wanted $100,000 for the burial there on that spot. And Rabbi Binyamin said, bring back the Aaron to America. We're going to bury him near Rabbi Yaakov Yosef in the rabbinical section in Queens, in Cypress House. So the Belzer Rebbe into Queens, and the Belzer Rebbe gave him a chelek near his father. He had different chalak near the end. So Moshe is buried in the Belzer Chevra near his father. Everybody knew that because they take advantage of it.
100,000. Oh, that's the going price these days.
Everybody know that unfortunately the funeral chapels they rip people off.
Yeah, what?
They rip people off in the time of need. It's a very, very common thing.
Okay, another question.
Well, that's it. You bring some golden flow punch, you would.
Ooh.
You have to bring some golden flow punch. That's not the weekend, some punch. I think.
There you go.
Oh, he was something. So really, it's that.
Yeah, I'm assuming we should start.
It's,
So what type of world is Olam Haba? And well, Chassidus has a twist on it. So what type of world is it? The pasuk in Yeshaya says that we don't know anything about Olam Haba. So Olam Haba, again, we're talking about Olam Haba that comes after Tchias HaMitzvah. The pasuk in Shai says, "Me'im leishamu v'lei hazinu." We never heard; it was never made known to us. Ein leirasa lekim zo ein leirasa. No eye has ever seen it. Lekim zo asfan. Besides for you, the Eberster, Yaslam mechakla, and you make it and you prepare this for those who hope and yearn for you. The Navi says we don't know much about it. We never saw it. No one ever saw it. Even the Navim.
Doesn't mean that you can't start. This means
After Tchias HaMisim. Yeah, and different Gemaras, I think they darshan this pasuk about different things, but one, but certainly we also darshan about Olam Haba.
What would be called when a person passes on? Where he's going?
So they're both called Olam Haba. There's the Gan Eden Olam Haba, and then there's Olam Haba of after Tchias HaMisim. And so that's what this is referring to. So now the Gemara says in Brachos tells us a little bit, a lot of, it's a little bit what's not going to be there, and a little bit what is going to be there. The Gemara in Brachos, not Yud Zayin and Aleph says, Rav was always accustomed to saying, this world is not like the world to come. The world to come, there's no eating, no drinking, like Pirya Verivio. We're not going to be having children, we're not going to be doing business, like Kino. Like seemingly sachas, no jealousy, no hate, no competition. El tzadikim yeshvin without harisim l'shem. Rather, what will be there? The tzadikim will be sitting, their crowns will be on their heads, and they will have on up in the ziv hashchina. Like it says, vayechazu ha'alikim vayichlu vayishtu. It says that they saw Eivusha, they ate and they drink by Har Sinai. I don't remember what the Rai from this pasuk is, but this is what is not going to be. So we have a little bit what's going to be going on. So now the pasuk, the Gemara tells you you're not going to be eating and drinking or having kids when Mashiach comes. What type of world does it sound like? It doesn't sound like our world that we live in now. It sounds like a different type of world. So it makes a lot of sense what the Rambam says that that Olam Haba is an Neshamis B'loi Gufin. The Rambam says after Yemesa Mashiach, people will pass away, and the Neshamis will go up, and then they'll get the final schar for all the Tamas that they do. So that's the Rambam in number 3. He says, Olam Haba ein b'loi guf ugvia. There is no bodies or physical things. Ela nefashis hasadikim elvad. Only the nefashis of hasadikim b'loi guf, like the Malachi Asharis. And since there are no bodies, there is also no eating and no drinking. None of these things that people, that our bodies need in this world, it's not going to be there because we're not going to have any of these bodies. This is the shitta of the Rambam. And the Avodas HaKodesh takes the Rambam for a ride. He has some very sharp tightness against the Rambam, and I hope you. I'm not sure if you. What?
I was on the Zoom.
Okay, fine. So the Avodas HaKodesh Meir Ibn Gabbai, I think is his name. He was a big, he goes from the Chassidus in Kabbalah, and he was very sharp against the Rambam. He had a very problem. He had major issues with the Rambam, basically, and especially with the Maiden of Lutin, that he was very into Aristotle's philosophy. And he accuses the Rambam that the reason why he tightens that Olam Haba Neshamis B'loi without bodies, Neshamis without gufim, is because he's so perhaps in Aristotle's philosophy. The mainly has to make sure Torah fits with him. And he writes extremely sharp against the Rambam. In number 4, he says, "Harambam zal shafat mishpat mavis al bnei tchias hamesim va'al hamshiach v'doiding." The Rambam gave a paskin, the din of misa for all the people of tchias hamesim and Melech HaMashiach and his whole generation. The Rambam passing that they're going to pass away. Such a terrible thing. What caused him to do this? What caused him to do this? He's because he's so perhaps in Yonim of philosophy. He duplicated him, and this that he clings to them. And he thinks that philosophy, the philosophy of Aristotle, is almost like the emes of Torah. Well, Zeh Peter's divrei haTorah v'iten she'askim in divrei Arisa v'ziyufa v'havolov, and Mela, the Rambam has to make sure that everything fits with Aristotle and all his garbage. And he also did this to all the Yonim of Teresh about that. Can a person be spotted like see clearly in his spotted? And I think it's referring to the Moed of Luchim Islamin. The Choshav Shemoisi Arisa Pituyev Ef Shalach Leikalim. He thinks that the Tainas and the Rais are subtle. You can't fight against them. Or lachisham and to contradict them. Was then therefore Kishir of his Heda Bidipin Mikabla all of a shalom dover connect them. If he sees in the Torah something that does not fit with what Aristotle says, if Hashem you can ask him, so we'll have to change it and teach it in a way that it fits with them. The Chachal Pesi V'Seichel Ikish Habag connected about it. And he tries to argue to Aristotle, he won't take him seriously. He'll think that he's a fool. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So very sharp words against the Rambam, and certainly we hold the Rambam in a much higher esteem than we than the way he makes it sound.
We're talking about after Tes Mason or before Tes?
After it's Tes Mason, not Gan Eden, Olam Haba. That is the final reward for all our avodah of Torah mitzvahs.
So after Tes Mason, we're going to buy again.
According to the Rambam, yeah. So we're going to come back down. We're going to be here for a while, then we'll pass away, and we'll go back up. Yeah. Yeah, so Olam Haba sometimes refers to Gan Eden also, but in this context, we're talking about Tchias Mason. So this is the Rambam. So the Pasha is, what's the raya for the Rambam? The Gemara thing was, we're not going to be eating and drinking. So it seems like we're not going to have bodies. The Avidas HaKodesh says from the exact same raya Gemara is a raya from the Rambam. That Gemara itself is a raya against the Rambam. How so? The Gemara says, "Margla b'puma derav." This is something that Rav would always say. He would always be repeating this over, that Olam Haba, we're not going to be eating and drinking. Says the Avidas HaKodesh, if we're not going to have bodies in Olam Haba, so obviously I'm not going to be eating and drinking. Why doesn't he tell me also about Gan Eden? Like Gan Eden, and there's no Achil Shtia. I don't need Rav to teach me that Gan Eden there's no Achil Shtia. That's a double pasuk. We don't have any bodies. So what about Olam Haba? So why do I need him to tell me this? Obviously, and only that he would always say this. He comes to teach me Dvarim B'Teilim? No. Elamai, it must be the Chiddush Rav is that it's got to be Neshamis with Gufin in Olam Haba, and therefore he had to come teach me this big Chiddush that he was always saying over, that even though Neshamis with Gufin, it's not going to be like this world. In this world, we eat, we drink, we have kids, and we do all these things. That's not going to be happening in Olam Haba. Even though we have bodies, we're not going to be doing all these things. So this is from the exact same Gemara, which you think is that for the Rambam, Avidas HaKodesh says no, why do I need to have to teach me then? So this is in number 5. He says, there is no bodies. Why is Rav bringing me to these Dvarim B'Teilim? That the world, this world is not like the next world. Do I not know just as good as Rav knows that all these things that they're only done with the body? Obviously, I'm not going to be doing all these things. Is he coming to teach me Dvarim B'Teilim, obvious things? What does it mean that he would always say this? He was accustomed to saying this. I don't need him to tell me this. Rav. The Gemara says, this is something that Rav would repeat over a lot. It's just something so pashut. Like it's like telling me Gan Eden. You say you're running around telling your Chavra, don't make a mistake on Eden. We're not going to be eating and drinking. I don't need the Rav to teach me that. So.
You're saying that it's called the afterlife, that's not called
it's the revival of the dead. Saying after you make some Mashiach, after
Mashiach. It's not when you go to heaven. That's the first time around. You're saying
say a person passes away, then Shema goes up to Gan Eden, and then there's going to be a Mesa Mashiach. After Mesa Mashiach, there's going to be Tchias Mason. And Tchias Mason, either that is, according to the Ramban, we'll see that is Olam Haba. That is the beginning of Olam Haba and Shanas with our Gufim. And according to the Rambam, it's not yet Olam Haba. We're going to be Tchias Mason is like a part of the Mesa Mashiach. And eventually we're going to go back up. On Hashem will leave our bodies and we'll go back up on my life.
This world?
It is going to be in this world. In this world. In this world. Yes, in this world. After you make some Mashiach. So this is so what's this? So the Ramban's shita, he says no, it's gonna be neshamis with kufin, and that's what Rav is coming to teach me. And that's his big chiddush. We're not gonna be eating and drinking. How can it be if we have bodies? We're not gonna be eating and drinking. He says no. He says when it makes a Mashiach, the neshama will overpower our guf, and will cause our guf to become so idle and refined that we'll be able to live just like the malachim. Just like the malachim, they get their chayes from the zivah shechina. They don't need to eat food. So too, our guf will develop. Will be able to process the godly energy from the shechina, from the zivah shechina, and will be able to survive off of that. Just like when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Har Sinai for 40 days and nights, he didn't eat and he didn't drink. How did he live from the zivah shechina? So too, it's going to be with us. This is how the Ramban explains. In number 6, he says, and we see every place. It's not talking about the Ilm HaShabbos and the Schar HaMegillah and Miyad Achre Emiso. It's not talking about what comes to you after you pass away, Gan Eden. It's not about Ilm HaShabbos. It's a world, it's a new physical world that Abraham is going to create after the Moshe Mashiach and Tchias HaMesim. It's going to be a physical world, but it's something's going to be very different. That's one of the tiniest. It's interesting. So, like, David is going to be machadish the world. I'm saying it's going to be a gashmistic world, but something is going to be different. I don't know what. One of the tiniest is the Gemara says that mitzvahs betelis lasid lovely. All the mitzvahs are going to be basil lasid lovely in Olam Haba. So. But it all brings down that people taina, so this sounds a little bit Christian over here. It sounds a little bit Christian. I'm saying they taina, Mashiach came, this fell apart, fell away, and look, it seems like we have such a musig in our Gemara, and this arbitral is also lovely. So how does this fit with the nitzchias hatera? So he says Torah mitzvahs is nitzchias. As long as we're living in this world, the way it is now, Torah mitzvahs never changes. Olam Haba, it's going to be a different world. Doesn't mean it's going to be Olam HaNeshamis, but the Eibush is going to the world. The Eibush is going to be the world is going to be running different. It's not going to. I don't know what's going to be different. It's going to be Gilei Zashina, Gilei Likus. I don't know what's going to be going on, but in that world, that's not the same world we're living in now. In that world, enough hinami mitzvahs betelis. But as long as we're living in this world the way it is now, or we're in the middle of doing our Vedic mitzvahs, it never changes. So this is there's going to be some big change. I don't know exactly what. So the second paragraph in 6, he goes on. He says, the way the neshama, just like the neshama, the way the neshama lives when it's nesiyachin with dasa elyon, it's just like the way the malachim live when they connect to Hashem. That's how the nefesh lives. And when the neshama will overpower the body, will be mevateles hakricha gufiyis, will be mevatel the gashmistik hakrichis. Kameshi's kanu le'el like you mentioned the earlier time. Actually, until our body will be able to live like a neshama without eating and drinking. So this is how.
Having children. What about other things having children?
Right. So why are we not going to have children? Why are we not going to have children? So I'm not sure. I didn't look into this so much. I'm saying the Gemara says,
So everybody came with it.
once all the neshamas come down, then the neshamas are going to go, and the guf are going to come. So that would be a nice hezer. Why there's not going to be any more kids? But someone's telling me there's a different method. Something says that there's going to be new neshamas. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I'm not so sure about that. So this is the shit in the Rambam. So the Rambam has more rayas up his sleeve. Besides for the fact that it's mashma from the Gemara not going to be eating and drinking, he has more rayas up his sleeve. Says that the Rambam in the Gershas Tchias HaMesim, it's a long letter. The take of the letter was people tainted. They wanted to say based on the Rambam that the Rambam doesn't believe in Tchias HaMesim. These people didn't believe in Tchias HaMesim. They were raya from the Rambam. What's the raya from the Rambam? The Rambam at the last Supra, he tells you the whole state there was going to be by Mesa Mashiach. There's going to be Leonov, he's going to come. They're going to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash, and not a word about Tchias HaMesim. The Rambam does not mention a word. So they want to say that Rambam doesn't hold to the whole thing. So I don't remember what that is. So obviously the Rambam says, of course, Cheda can say that. I don't remember the Rambam says why he didn't mention it. I don't remember what he writes. But Derech Agav, while he's on the topic of Tchias Mesim Olam Haba, he explains why Olam Haba has to be Neshamis without Gufin. Why? He says the Eibusher doesn't create anything without Torah. Everything in this world has a purpose. If you're telling me Olam Haba, the Eibusher there's going to be people are going to be living Neshamis with Gufin, but the Gufin we're not going to be eating, we're not going to be drinking, we're not going to be having children, we're not going to be doing any of these Gashmistic things. So why do I need the Guf for? Why is it there? If we don't need it, it won't be there. Why should it be there if we're not going to use it? The Eibusher doesn't get anything for nothing. So this is the Rambam's deeper taina, not just because it's mashup in the Gemara. If we don't need it, then it shouldn't be there. Yeah, he says number 7. So since Amru Chacham is within a bracha she'im beilei achid lishti, we're not going to be eating and drinking. Beilei mishkol, we're not going to be with our wives. I mean, have these things we'll have these things for nothing. To say that we should do something for nothing. We're going to have a mouth and esophagus, the kavod and the liver, a kli mishkol, and the other body parts. You're not going to eat it, you're not going to drink. You won't have children. There's no point for them to exist. So if we're not going to be using them, then it shouldn't be there. So the Ramban in the Shara Gmul, where he talks about Gan Eden and Olam Haba, so he deals with this. He has answers to this kind of. He gives 2 answers. One answer is not so clear in his words. He says a very big kitzer. He says no, it's not all about Torah. The Eibusher created it by Tchias Mesim for a purpose, and we're not going to use it later. Okay, but since we created it for a purpose, not like we created it for nothing. But he doesn't explain what does mean he created it for a purpose in the beginning. So what's very good. At first, I wasn't sure what his kavanah was until later I found in the Sefer Ikrim, Yosef Albay, he quotes one of the Talmidim of the Ramban, who explains it much more about this. On the next slide, number 9, he quotes from one of the Talmidim, Rabbi Aaron. He says that when it says in Yemais HaMashiach we're not going to be eating and drinking, it doesn't mean right away. I mean, in Olam Haba, by Tchias Mesim, we're not going to be eating and drinking. It doesn't mean right away as soon as Tchias Mesim comes, everything's going to come down, and we're right away going to be like Malachim. See, Aveda, you have to get there. It's not so pashut. In the beginning, it's Tchias Mesim, we're not going to be eating, we're not going to be drinking, and we're going to be doing all these nashmistic things. But after Aveda, through our Aveda, after many years, I don't know how long it's going to take, we're going to reach a point where we're going to ready to go up like Eliyahu and nothing. Our goof will be able to become like a malach like Eliyahu, and then at that point, the same. And so that's what the Ramban is saying, that we are going to need it by Tchias Mesim. Elamai is going to become so idle that it won't need to eat and drink. And once we already had it, why get rid of it? So this is in number 9. He says, Amar Rav Aaron Zal, ki k'shehigias man Tchias Mesim, yichadesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'chol ethno yatzadikim guf achar b'isei mazel. And he will create another different guf for each tzaddik in that mazel. Not sure what he means by the mazel. And based on the gamri shahoya l'chol echad ve'echad mehem tchila shava v'shava. And yeah, Isha, in the beginning, all their bodies will be the same. The Yamdu, they'll stand up. The Yechla, the Yishu, they're going to eat and drink. The Lidu, they're going to have children. The Yaskal, Aver, Ve'ever, Shebguf, Kol Echem, Mehim, Pulasei, Ruyele. And each body part will be doing the Pula's supposed to do. The Kavu, Kamash, Royele, and he'll get everything he needs. Ve'yisim, the Royele, and he'll eat properly, and he'll do everything he needs without anything stopping him. And then, so the person's body will be on the Tachlis HaShlemus and the most complete level it could be. The second paragraph, he says, but after many days, the Yamim Rabin, until he reached the Tachlis HaShlemus that he could reach each one, that he does say, Rishon, one by one, once we reach the highest Shlemus we're able to reach down here, each one will go up like Eliyahu Navi L'mayla. Be a chimer gufan ke'enu say pasha, will be like a refined pasha, a refined chimer. Now each refined upper will be like the malachim kinin Eliyahu, just like it goes by Eliyahu. So this is for us. So it's very fascinating the way he explains that it's going to be a work in progress. It's not going to happen right away. So maybe that's why we're going to have bodies. The Ramban, this is the first answer. Hezra, the Ramban. The Ramban also gives a second reason why it's not a problem that the Eibush created bodies and we're not going to use them in the Olam Haba. He says the Eibush didn't just create a mouth, an esophagus, and a stomach because he needed somewhere to put the food. He needed someone to make the food. We'll make a compartment here. We'll make an opening over there. The Eibush got to figure things out other ways. It's not just technicalities. There's a deep reason. There's deep reasons why the person's body is formed like this and like that. So just because you're not eating and you're not using it to eat and drink anymore, it doesn't mean there's no reason for it to exist anymore. The Eibush has a deep reason why he wants it, our bodies are the way they are, and he still wants it to exist. So this is the second kind of the Rambam answer. There's a third, you could say a third answer based on what the Rebbe says in the letter. There's in the letter in Igros Kodesh, in Chelik Beis, the Rebbe is addressing a different question. The Rebbe is addressing a question of the Su'ud of the Levi Yassin and the Shar Havar. When is it going to be? So the Pasha is going to be during Yom Mashiach, right? It can't be in Olam Haba because there's no Achilas Shtia. But there's a Maimon in the Kutei Torah where the Alter Rebbe seems to be implying that the Su'udah, the Levi Yassin and the Shar Havar is going to be during Olam Haba. But so what's going on?
They're assuming that Akhira is Kriyah, physical Akhira is Kriyah, which is not necessarily the soul.
Okay, but it's the Pashtus.
Like when it says that the years of Allah Yisrael were your body still, the stuff was not physical Akhira.
I think, okay. So it seems I'm saying there certainly many Mepharshim are on the certainly some Mepharshim are understanding that it's a physical achila. So
what about the Leviathan being kosher or not? What about the Leviathan being kosher or not?
Yes, the Medrash talks about it. The Medrash talks about it. There's a discussion. How could it be kosher? Why is it a proper shchita? But it seems to be like some people are, some of the Farshim are taking a literal sense, and that's what seems like the Rebbe's understanding over here. The Rebbe's bothered with the question, we're not going to be eating and drinking, so how are we going to have the Sugal of Yosem? So the Rebbe says this, so the Rebbe says a very new Geshmak Pshat in the Gemara. When it says, it doesn't mean that there will be absolutely no eating and drinking. It means we won't need to eat and drink. But like this world is like the world to come, because in this world, the way you live, the way your neshama stays connected to your guf is through eating, and that's why I need to eat. But not like that. It's not Ilam is not like that. I won't need to eat in order to live. Will I not be eating? Will I still be eating? There could be other reasons to be eating. I'll be reading for Rufnius for other Halakha reasons. I think I said maybe it was a Rashba on the Chedush HaGadol. He says that through eating the basra, the Shar Habar, you're going to be safe to very high the special things. So there's other reasons why to be eating the basra, the Yas and the Shar Habar. It's gonna bring you to a very high spiritual level. We're not going to be eating the Shar Habar and the Yas just because we didn't have lunch yet. We're going to be eating it for other reasons. We won't need to eat. We're not going to be living off of it, but there will be other reasons to eat and drink. Shalom Shabbos, Einik Shabbos, yeah, other reasons. So this is what the Rebbe and this other answers the question of have to have the Sugal of the Yosem be at the time where we're not going to be eating and drinking. It says we won't need to eat and drink. So based on this, L'chayri can answer the Rambam's question again. The Rambam asks, we're not going to be eating and drinking. Why do we need a body? The way that I was explaining, it doesn't mean we're not going to be eating and drinking. It doesn't mean there will be absolutely no food and we're not going to be doing all these police. Kobe will still be doing it, but for other reasons. We won't need to do it, but could be we will still be doing it. So this is a third way of answering the Shaila of the Rambam. So this is in number 10. Yep. I think we said it outside. Let's go. There's 2 10s. Let's go to the second number 10. So this is how we explain the Shitta the Rambam. So now going back to the Rambam's Shitta, according to the Rambam, The Chayda is very strange. According to the Rambam, that Olam Haba, the final reward that comes after Yemais Mashiach, is going to be our neshamis, Lamaila, without our bodies. So it's very strange. There's going to be Tchias HaMesim, all the neshamas which are already up in Gan Eden, they're going to come back down here into their bodies, and they're going to be living here for a while. Then at the end, they're going to pass away again, and they'll go back up to Olam Haba. So why did you let them down here? Let them stay up there. They're already where they're supposed to be. They're already at their final destination. Leave them alone. Why are you schlepping them back down here? So the Sefer Ikrim gives a few explanations. And the last one I appreciated the most. He says a few explanations. The second number 10. Even though the Iker Schar is going to be from the Shama alone in Olam Haba, there's another Gashmistic Schar. There's going to be another Schar before that, another Schar Gashmistic Schar. Why? The reason, according to the Rambam, is either we mefarsim the miracles and the nisim that the Ibishter does through Tchias HaMesim to make these great miracles. The im kadesha sigu ksas tainu gashmi oz, or Pasha the Yidden who passed away, they felt bad. They missed out on Olam Haba. They had Saras and Golos. They didn't get to enjoy themselves. They didn't get to enjoy Olam Haba properly. So they'll come back to Yemais Mashiach. They'll be able to have enjoy the carbonates, like shmak the barbecues, and enjoy Olam Haba. And he says the third geshmak, which sits the most with me. The Oila, he says, Olam Haba, everyone has a different chelik in Olam Haba, depending on what? Depending on their Torah and mitzvahs. So Yidden who lived during the times of Golos, they went through all these sodas, they couldn't bring karbanos to the Beis Hamikdash, and they come out, they're barely able to do Torah and mitzvahs. So what type of chelik in Olam Haba do you think they have waiting for them? They were barely able to do anything. So says explains according to Rambam. So according to Rambam, what's the point of coming down by Tchias HaMesim if anyways your neshama is just going to go up back up by Olam Haba? Because through coming back down here, you'll be able to be Mekayim Torah mitzvahs again during Yemais Mashiach and Tchias HaMesim, and therefore you'll be zeichet to a much bigger chelik in Olam Haba. So there's a very important reason to come down here in order to have a proper preparation for Olam Haba. And there's a fourth explanation also according to the Rambam. What's the point of coming down here? It says Schar, the Gemara Sanhedrin says, I forgot the Teichen is something that it says the neshama always able to get away from the punishment, by getting punished in Gan Eden. He says the Eivish is going to come to the Eivish is going to come to the neshama. He comes up L'mayla, and the Eivish is going to say, "Why did you do any Avedis?" Someone's going to say, "Me, neshama? How am I supposed to do Avedis in Olam Haba? I'm just a neshama." So the Eivish will come to the group. Why do you do Avedis? Me, I'm just a dead body. What can I do? So the Gemara brings a mushal. So the Gemara says, the Gemara brings a mushal. There's a blind person and a blind person who could walk and a person who could see but he couldn't walk. And they were in the orchard. They were guarding the orchard. So they said the person, I said, there's some gishmaka apples over there. Pick me up on you. Let's go get some. So the person says, I can't see. So he says, put me on your shoulders. We'll go there together. We'll enjoy the apples. So they go there, they enjoy the apples. Later, the balabas, the owner of the field comes. He says, what's going on? Why did he take them? So the blind person says, and me, how am I supposed to steal the apples? I can't talk. I can't see. The person who can see but couldn't walk says, I can't walk. How can I take the apples? So the Balbas says, the Levish is a smart guy. What did the Balbas do? He took the person who couldn't walk, put him on the shoulders of the guy that was blind, and he gave them touch together. He gave them touch while he's sitting on the shoulder. So the Gemara says is the Gabi Einish. The Gabi Einish, the Aviris was done in the Shama with the group together. So the Levish will put the two of them together and they'll get their catch for the Aviris that they did. So the same Farshim, so when it comes to the schar should be also the same way. Who could the neshama do mitzvahs on its own without a body? Neshamas can't do the mitzvahs on its own without a body. So when it comes to the schar, it's not right that the schar should be only for the neshamas. Then the schar should be also for the body. So this is a fourth reason why we first come now at Chesed Mason, that the guf should also receive its schar for the mitzvah sedative, and then it goes back up L'mayla because the ikar schar is going to be for the shama L'mayla and Olam Haba.
Doesn't the Baal
This-
say this,
What?
Doesn't the Baal also say this? That it's amazing. The whole reason that the people have to come back is so that it sees the reward of what it accomplished.
I think so. I don't remember. It rings a bell. I don't remember exact one clear. So this is all according to the Rambam. The Rambam, Olam Haba, and the shamis without our gufim. And according to the Ramban, it is the shamis with gufim, with bodies. So how do they pass him? What's the psak halacha? So what you think there is no psak halacha, or it's arguing about ruchnistic things? We're gonna see what happens. So it's interesting. There's a letter Gus Kodesh that and the Rebbe says in a ha'ara that the Rebbe says we do have a psak. He says once the Arizal and most of the Mekabalim went with the shita of the Ramban, that Olam Haba after Yemei Mashiach is in the Shamis is going to be the reward, the final reward for all our Torah mitzvahs is going to be our neshamis in our bodies, and the most of the Kabbalah, including that, and with Arizal, go with the shita. So but the Rebbe says this a few times when it comes to in Yonim of Kabbalah. Who's the basic action in Yonim of Kabbalah? Who is the big godel that the Gans Klal Yisrael is makabel him as the place who has the final say in all these things? The Arizal took that share. So after Arizal came and the Arizal went with the shita that is the shamas with gufim, so there's no more room for machleksim anymore. Halach is like the Ramban. So this is number 11. It writes like this: Back then, there was room for machleksim. Is Olam Haba neshamis with gufim or without gufim? The Rebbe quotes the Lashon of Chaim Vital that ear bekadosh mishmaya nochis the hilik amalach kingdom from Shemaim harav hagadol lekir hachosid meiri v'ravi kvoi Rabbeinu Rav Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi. Yes, kind of Racham Malay Torah Kirimay, Pilpul Torah Kapamagan, the Mikra Mishnah Talmud, the Pilpul, the Midrashim, the Haggadis, the Maisa Bereshis, the Maisa Merkava, the Kibru, Kol Yisraelim, the Pesach Achim, the Holy Nani Sister Torah say to sell all the hidden and aspects of Torah, Ruchnistic parts of Torah, we Makabel Arizal. So Emakim Klam Machlekes, there's no more room for Machlekes about these things anymore. But Halachic Divi Harizal, Shehi Adeh Hamuvas Befim to Verla Kaiman. So the Rebbe says that there's no more room for these machleksim anymore. Halacha is like the Arizal, and we go with the Ramban. And so, what's very interesting? What's the nekuda, the machlekes between the Ramban and the Rambam? It's the shamis with gufim or without gufim. So the way it's explained in Chassidus Chabad is that. Is the tachlis ruchnius? What's the highest goal you can reach? Is the highest you want the closest way to coming to the Eibusher? The highest madriga you can reach is it ruchnius or gashmius? But tashlis you would think ruchnius. Gashmius, a physical world, certainly doesn't seem to get us very close to the Eibusher. It doesn't seem to get us very close to him. And you want to get close to the Eibusher, you have to Neshama needs to leave your body, and that's the way you can get the closest to the Eibusher. And it seems to be that's the mahalach of the Rambam, that Olam Haba, the final reward is our neshamas with our body that we're gonna cling to Hashem. And the way the Ramban, the way Chassidus explains the shita of the Ramban is that when you're talking about the Eibusher, ruchnius is not any closer to the Eibusher than gashmius. Spirituality, the Eibusher is just as removed. The Eibusher is from physicality. The Eibusher is just as removed from spirituality. The Eibusher is fully removed from both of them. Spirituality.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, just like you would think that in the Gashmistic world, you don't see it's a creation of Hashem. You would think how do you get closer to the Eibusher? Leave the Gashmistic world, go to the Gan Eden, all the Ruchnistic worlds, and through that you come closer to the Eibusher. That's how you get closer to the Eibusher, which to a degree is true. So you are getting closer. Ruchni, you are getting closer. But at the end of the day, the Eibusher reveals himself in Gan Eden, but the Eibusher himself is he's completely, at the end of the day, spirituality is also creation. In other words, spirituality are also creations of Hashem. So ultimately, if you want to get to close to the Eibusher himself, is spirituality getting you any closer to the Eibusher himself than a physical world?
Are the mitzvahs that we do, are they like sort of gashmias, like tzedakah or wrapping tefillin, are those gashmias things?
So, yeah, and therefore,
So therefore, the gashmias would be, it helps bring us closer to Hashem. Because if we channel those mitzvahs of doing tzedakah, we are using our body, our clothes to do these mitzvahs, then in that way we're like we're bringing godliness down.
yeah, so very good. So that's after Hashem gave us mitzvahs. Let's say before mitzvahs came into the picture, there's gashmias and there's ruchnias. Yeah. So you would think the way to come close to the Eibusher is through ruchnias. Leave your goof to go to ruchnias and madriga. So you are reaching higher spiritual levels, but at the end of the day, Hashem himself is just as removed from spirituality than he is from physicality.
So you're not getting yourself any closer to Hashem by learning and
You are getting yourself closer, but when Hashem gave you Torah and mitzvahs, Hashem gave you Torah mitzvah in a gashmistic world. Hashem said through you doing Torah and mitzvahs, the Eibusher gave you a kli. He gave you a way to connect to him himself. When you do gashmistic mitzvahs in this world, you can connect to the Eibusher himself. Not because gashmias is any closer to Hashem, or not because ruchnias is any closer to Hashem. Hashem is fully removed from everything, and in a way, you could see this statke in this world. When it comes to spirituality, spiritual world, you kind of get distracted from Hashem himself. Like the mashal is that you have a person came into the king told a person, some people as a reward, you could go into my treasure and take whatever you want. You could fill up a bag. So there are many chambers in the treasury. In the deepest chamber, you have the most greatest jewels. But a lot of people, they came to the first chamber, they got so overwhelmed, they grabbed everything they could. They came to some people made it to the second chamber, and they were so excited, they couldn't even think about what's coming up next. They just grabbed everything they could there. Only the Chacham, the wisest one, he made it all the way to the end. He realized all these things, he made it all the way to the end, and he made it all the way to the end. So in a way, spirituality can also be a certain degree, a concealment and a distraction from Hashem himself. So in a way, so the way Chassidus explains why the ultimate reward is going to be that in the gashmistic world, because Hashem made it like this, that in Olam Haba, Hashem himself will come down into this gashmistic world and he'll be revealed here. He's not going to be revealed in the spiritual world. So he's just as removed from there as he is from here. The Eibusher decided he wants it to be in a gashmistic world. And this is how Chassidus explains it. So it's interesting that it's before Chassidus explained the shit of the Ramban that it's going to be Hashem with Gufim, this is not how it was understood. It was understood. Well, the other Mefarshim, they explain Talmid of the Ramban. They say, why is it that you need to have Neshamis with Gufim and Olam Haba? So the way they explain it, they also say the Tachlis is Ruchnius. You want to cling to higher madrigas, right? Like the Ramban says, like Kriyas Mason, we're going to be eating and drinking, but after a while, our guf will become so idle, like a malach, like Eliyahu Hanavi, and it will go up and we'll be just like a malach. We won't need to eat and drink. And in the Sefer Ikrim, he quotes one of the Talmidim of the Ramban. He says, "Why do you need to have a guf? It's for technicalities. The neshama without a guf, it's a chesaron for the neshama to exist without the guf. It needs to have the guf." But it's not that there's a chashivos, there's a milo, that there's a milo in the guf itself. So, Yaakov Endin in his siddur, he has Biyum on Pirkei Avos on the pasuk Kol Yisrael Le'Ishem Pei Olam Haba. He says he doesn't really get the machlekes. He says he thinks it's not even machlekes. Mara Machada, Mara Machad Pligi. He says the Rambam is saying it's Feil HaNeshamas. But even the Ramban who says Neshamas with Gufim, But he also says that the Gufim are going to turn into Malachim. So according to both of them, it's going to be a Ruchniistic world. So in their words, you don't see so much this aspect of Dafka having a Gashmistic world and Dafka having a Gashmistic body, and Dafka over there, Hashem is going to reveal himself in his full glory. So this is the twist that Chassidus brings into it and brings out a different aspect, that Hashem is beyond spirituality, is beyond physicality, and the Ibishah decided he had a taiva, the Ibishah decided he wanted to have a dwelling place in this world, in a Gashmistic world, through Gashmistic mitzvahs and with the Gashmistic good. It comes down to a point that sometimes in some Amar and Chassidus it says that nowadays our body lives from our guf, lives from our neshama. But also lovely in Olam Haba, our will be revealed, the shirish of the body of a yid is so high, has such high kedusha to it, that the neshama will get highest from the body of the yid. So things are gonna flip around. That the mile of Gashmis will come out, and that the neshama will get highest from the guf. So this is the discussion of Machlekes. Recap the bottom line. so one side that reason go with the Ramban. Till then they're bringing rice from the Drusha from here and from there. But the Rebbe says after the Arizal came down, and which all the Rekim and Shanaim were open in front of him, and he was mandrichos in the derech of the Arizal, in the derech of the Ramban, that is Hashem is with him. So Memela, there's no more room for Machlekes anymore. It's going to be Hashem with him. And what's the chiluk of Rishabs and Gufim? If you look in the words of the Shleinim, it doesn't seem like such a big difference. It's just a technicality. Everyone agrees with Tachlis is Ruknius. Elamite, is the body going to be there or is it not going to be there? But the body is going to be like Tachlis. The way Chassidus brings out, Chassidus Paravan brings out the Shitta that Ramban is that there's Dafka a Maila in the Gashmistic world. The Yibishur Dafka wanted the Gashmistic world, and he should reveal himself in the Gashmistic world, and Dafka through Gashmis mitzvahs, and Dafka with the Gashmistic guf. So there's going to be a tremendous smile of the Gashmistic guf, and that's why it's going to be like this.
Talk about this with the
I don't know. I was wondering. The Rebbe doesn't give any rhyme and comments. I'm not sure. I will be geschmack to see where that is. Writes it.
I don't feel different on this one.
The Tanya brings the Mates of High.
Mhm.
The Tanya brings the Mates of High.
That is going to be Neshamis with Gufin
Yeah.
What did it say?
in Tanya. But you remember where?
It brings the Mates of High.
He says he remembers the quote from the Yitzchayim.
It's right here and explain.
The Tanya quotes it from
No, can you give me a citation? Where,
Tanya, I'm saying, was the one.
the first thing to think of is that in the Faktamat, it's Karim, behind the Torah, he writes that in the name of the Rizal, he refers it to a sacred Greek Minukah. We've heard about that. It's a very easy one. And there he talks about this very stages of this world and the next world. There's the Sheikh of Alafin and there's the Delapha Siri and goes even on in the Delapha Siri. He goes into the details about that. But that's this referring to it. It's not there, but in Arizal himself, in the Ismail, he doesn't seem to say anything about this.
So I don't know. I was wondering. I was curious where is that? I know the Shalah has a big arichus about it. The Shalah goes through the whole Machlekes back and forth.
What are you nodding?
Well,
What are you nodding about? You say,
I'm just saying, I agree with him.
oh, but you don't know really the
I
story.
saw it in the Tanya. I don't know where he doesn't say it, where he didn't make it up. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering. I was wondering where it would be geschmack to see where he writes it. And what else is there? And we're gonna dive in Irish. We have a few more things.
We need a couple more people.
Either AY, yeah, well,
So
He just went out for a cigarette.
Okay. So, well, whatever. Another thing connected on the topic is the Rambam counts in Moshe Mashiach as one of the Ikrim. Moshe Mashiach and Tchias Mason has two Ikrim in Torah, two fundamental things, two of the Yod Gimel Ikrim. So the Chasam Sefer and the Sefer Ikrim Yisrael, they come with very big tightness against them. So the Chasam Sefer says, first of all, I don't really get how you decide what's an Iker, what's Tafel in Torah. Everything is an Iker in Torah. You can't, if you don't believe one thing in Torah, you're Afikaitis. He says, but even if you want to tell these Yud Gimel Ikrim, he says, I don't get how you tell me the schar, the Yemais Mashiach, the schar for the reward that. I don't get how you tell me Yemais Mashiach that we're going to go back to Eretz Yisrael, we're going to live on our land. That's how you say it in Yiddishkeit. And what? If the Yibusha decided that we're eternally chased out of Eretz Yisrael, Yiddishkeit falls apart. That's the end. That's the end of the story. Yiddishkeit falls apart. Yeah. I don't understand. He said, Pascal says, I can't believe in that Yemais Mashiach is he doesn't mention the Yasmin Mason for the same as the Chasam Sefer in the Tshuva. He says, I can't.
More says it's amazing.
But it's an Iker, one of the Yud Gimel Ikrim. He says, I can't agree with the Rambam. I can't accept that. It's one of
Everybody does it's amazing. It's great.
right. He's not saying that it's not true. Obviously, if you don't believe in your Kaifer, but to say that this is a Iker, a foundation of Yiddishkeit, like certain foundations there are, you have to believe in the Ibisher. If you don't believe in the Ibisher, the whole Yiddishkeit doesn't work. If you don't believe in Torah, Yiddishkeit doesn't work. So if there's no Yiddish, if there's no Moshe Rabbeinu, it says you're a kaver, but certain things, if you don't believe in Moshe Rabbeinu, you don't believe in the Torah, you don't believe in the Ibisher, the whole system doesn't work. But if Yemais Mashiach was missing from the picture, the rest of the Torah wouldn't be able to function.
Wouldn't be reward and punishment.
So therefore, and so the Yiddishkeit couldn't work without reward and punishment. Well, I'm not going to get my schar. I don't have to keep Torah anymore. Like if there is no Avish there, obviously I don't have to keep Torah anymore.
So who cares about the Jordan?
Okay, so you're going to tell me it's a part of schar and not schar in English. So the Yisrael Alvei, the Sefer Ikrim, has a second sign. So the Ram already counted schar in English as one of the Ikrim. Schar in English. I think Rambam here.
That thing in the Siddur was not written by Rambam.
I know the Perakach in the Perakach in the Hakdamah, the Pirsha Mishnah, you see writes about it. So can't tell me it's Schar V'Inish. I think if I remember correctly, I think it's one of the Yud Gimel Ikrim. Besides for Tchias and Mashiach. So the Yisab also argues. He says, I agree, Schar V'Inish is an Iker, but it's one Iker. Is why is Yemais Mashiach is something separate, something different. So what you
That's the version of it.
that what?
It's amazing.
Whatever, of course it's going to be there.
Why is it not a big
But
deal?
why?
And you have to-
It also says that there's Zayin Rekim in the Torah. The fact that there's Zayin Rekim is that an Iker Yiddishkeit? If you don't believe in it, you're Afikaitis. But is it an Iker? It's one of the foundations of Yiddishkeit. That there's Zayin Rekim.
So why would it be good?
What? Yeah, but you're telling me this is an Iker. So, and if you want to say Schar V'Inish is an Iker, so just tell me Schar V'Inish. Why do you have to specify Misa Mashiach?
Even if there's no let's say there's energy, it doesn't make a difference about the general picture. But it's a common ownership.
Right, so says Yisrael Alvei, who cares if my schar is going to be Misa Mashiach, or it's going to be in Gan Eden, or it's going to be in Olam Haba? What does it matter?
Whatever it is, it's part of the ultimate common ownership. It's in the end of days. Because you can see in this world, you can say that we don't see Sahaba ownership. But why do all the Tzadikim get killed in the Holocaust? If it's God. So you see this world, it doesn't make any sense.
So the Nekuda.
And in the end of the day, that it's going to come out at the end of the day.
The Nekuda that comes up, you have to see to explain the Rambam is Yemais Mashiach and Tchias Mason is not the Pashas. You think you understand? It's all about the schar for Torah mitzvahs. And if you understand it's all about schar, then you talk about into the shilas. Why is it a separate Iker and Yiddishkeit? But there's one with this safe called Beis Elikim. He was one of the Chavadim of the Beis Yisrael, and he explains the Yud Gimel Iker. And he says over there that Yemais Mashiach is not just about our schar. But the Eibishter, Yemais Mashiach is the ultimate goal for why the Eibishter created the world. The Eibishter wanted that his greatness, that that the greatness of the Eibishter should be the Gili in the world. That he should be the Gili in the world. His Shlemus Kachlisav it should be revealed down here, and it hasn't fully happened. Even though there's Christians of Matan Taila, but the game are still doing Avodah Zarah, and it didn't have its full effect. The Eibishter Shlemus isn't fully. Yeah. So he says, he makes some Mashiach. So it's not just about Schar and Einish. It's about that's the shlemus of the abuse of the world. That the Eibishter, that the Eibishter is faithless, and his God and his God that should be fully niskal in the world. Okay, so once you have this hair, so all the answers fall away. It is the Iker in Yiddishkeit because that's the whole point. That's the whole goal. Point by the Eibishter create the world. That there should be a time when the world is at its most complete state, even where Hashem will reveal Himself in the world. And that's why so this is something that Chassidus brings out a lot. That Chabad is constantly there's a big excitement about it, that the Mesa Mashiach is about revealing godliness, revealing Hashem in the world. But I found it very good how the base of Akim saying in the 1400s, he also already wrote this back then, that the Mesa Mashiach is not just about the schar, the reward for our prayer. It's deeper than that. That's the whole point that the world was created for. After. He was with the whole story when they tried to give the Maribei Rav, they wanted to renew the Smicha. Now that we don't have renewals, we don't have Smicha. So the Beises of Rebbe and Maribei Rav, all the Chachnei Yisrael came together, they gave him Smicha. See, afterwards gave it over to pass it on to 5 of his Talmidim. 2 of them were the Maribei Rav and the Beis Elikim. He's also known as his Rosh Mabit, Shas Shivas Mabit. Moshe Ben Yaakov from Mitroni, or he has another sefer on the Rambam called Kiryas Sefer. So whatever, those are 3. So he's one of these. He's one of those people. We have. Oh, what's that? Yeah.
What's the title of the shirt?
What type of world is Olam Haba? And still those have the data out of answer.
What worlds became a boss?
The Shamis with our bodies, it's going to be a physical world.
The world based according to the Chassidus.
So first of all, there's an argument between before Chassidus, there's an argument between the Ramban and the Ramban, whether it's going to be Neshamas with our body or without our body. And Chassidus has a twist on the shit of the Ramban that it's going to be with our bodies. And the Ramban tells us it's a technical thing. I mean, you cannot tell about it. Yeah, but Chassidus is close to the intrinsic value of the world. It's the body of the